Artificial Intelligence, Water Usage, and the Real Threats to Humanity by Kevin David Mayo II. Erie Life, Health, and Surety. Power to the people. Let's cut through the bullshit about AI and water consumption. You've probably seen the panic posts claiming billionaires are building data centers to suck all the water out of the ground. That's not how water works, and anybody telling you that either doesn't understand basic hydrology or is trying to scare you for clicks. Water doesn't disappear, but location does matter. Every drop of water that you've ever drank has been recycled through Earth's ecosystems for billions of years. That water in your glass right now? Dinosaurs probably pissed it out at some point. That's just reality. Water goes through three basic phases in its cycle. It gets filtered and reprocessed. It gets purified to the point where you can drink it again, even if it once had impurities within it. And after you use it, it re-enters the cycle. So no, we're not running out of water in the sense that it's leaving the planet. That's nonsensical. But the actual problem isn't water disappearing. It's actually about freshwater stress in specific regions. Data centers use evaporative cooling, meaning they heat up water, turn it into steam, and then use that steam to cool down the computers. In places like Arizona, Nevada, or parts of Texas that are already facing droughts, these facilities pull millions of gallons from local aquifers or municipal water supplies, and that creates direct competition with agricultural needs, residential drinking water, and local ecosystems. The water eventually returns to the cycle, sure, but not necessarily when and where those communities need it. If you're in an inland community that's already struggling to access water, having a massive data center suck up your local supply for AI-generated cat videos is a legitimate problem. But here's the irony. The conspiracy theory about billionaires sucking water out of the ground is technically wrong because water doesn't disappear, but functionally, it's exactly what's happening with extra steps. They're not destroying the water, but they're just making it unavailable to the people who live where they need it. The same result with a different mechanism. And the scale is truly staggering. Here's where it gets real. A single large data center can use 3 to 5 million gallons of water per day. Google's data center used approximately 5.6 billion gallons in 2022, and Microsoft's water usage increased 34% in just 1 year. Meta's data center in Mesa, Arizona used about 1.25 million gallons per day in a region where water tables are dropping. When you have multiple facilities in water-stressed regions, this becomes a legitimate resource allocation issue. We haven't seen major droughts directly caused by AI data centers yet, but the trajectory is very concerning. What needs to happen is this: regulation. There should be limits on how many data centers can operate in drought-prone areas, or at minimum, closed-loop requirements that they use closed-loop cooling systems that don't pull from municipal supplies. Closed-loop systems recirculate the same water continuously instead of drawing from fresh water and releasing steam. They cost about 15 to 20% more to build and operate, but they reduce water consumption by up to 95%. Companies like Microsoft are starting to deploy them in water-stressed regions, but it shouldn't be voluntary. Shit like this needs to be mandatory anywhere where water scarcity is an issue. Energy consumption is a bigger and much more immediate threat, however. If water usage is concerning, energy consumption is where things get really serious. Current situation is data centers globally consume about 1 to 2% of worldwide electricity, or roughly 200 to 250 terawatts annually. Training ChatGPT used approximately 1,287 megawatt hours, or roughly what 120 US homes use in an entire year. A single query to ChatGPT uses about 2.9 watts of electricity, compared to zero point 0.3 watts of energy usage for a Google search. And projections suggest that data centers could consume 8% of U.S. power by 2030 if AI growth continues at its current trend. The real world impact is that this is creating genuine infrastructure challenges. Some regions are struggling to meet demand, which has led to the reactivation of fossil fuel plants. In Virginia, Dominion Energy brought back coal plants online to meet data center demand. Competition for power. In Ireland, data centers now consume 18% of the country's electricity, competing directly with residents and industrial needs. Then we have grid strain. The U.S. electrical grid was designed for 20th century demand patterns. Modern data centers can draw 30 to 50 megawatts each, equivalent to a small city. And what the grid needs is modern infrastructure updates to handle AI and modern computing demands. We have smart grid technology with loading balance. That's an estimated $500 billion investment, expanded transmission capacity to move renewable energy from generation sites to consumption centers, distributed energy storage systems to handle peak demand. And the timeline for that is 10 to 15 years to upgrade for comprehensive upgrades, like if we started today. Who pays? Currently unclear, but with utilities, tech companies, and taxpayers, they're all fighting to see who gets a bill. This is an energy infrastructure issue that goes far beyond AI, honestly. That, mind you, it costs $20 billion to eliminate homelessness. Just insanity. But AI is truly accelerating the crisis. What data centers do is, and it's important to understand this, data centers aren't just for artificial intelligence. They serve multiple purposes. So streaming, they with hosting pictures, videos, text, and audio for platforms like Netflix, Apple Music, YouTube, and Substack. See what I did there? Please subscribe. A paid subscription. Cloud storage, we have backing up data from your devices to remote storage so you don't lose your photos when you drop your phone in the toilet. We have gaming support, online gaming infrastructure, multiplayer servers, and the videos and pictures you send your friends, and the general internet infrastructure, the backbone of how websites, email, and online services in general operate. AI training is just one use case. However, it's growing rapidly and particularly power intensively, about 3 to 4 more times more energy per computation than traditional cloud services. Now, data collection, the real concern, not conspiracies. All right, so you see how we're going on about 20 minutes, just talking about data. So let's be clear about what's actually happening versus what's conspiratorial nonsense. What's real? AI companies collect massive amounts of data through web scraping, copying publicly available internet content, purchase data sets, and user interactions. Training data sets often includes personal information scrapped from the internet without explicit consent, including Reddit posts, Twitter threads, artwork, code repositories, and copyrighted material. Companies aren't always transparent about the data they collect or what they use. This isn't because they're being nice. It's because their transparency would reveal exactly how much of their innovation is built upon other people's work without compensation or permission. And there's minimal regulation around AI training data in most jurisdictions. The EU's AI Act is the most comprehensive attempt thus far, but enforcement doesn't start until later here this year in 2026. AI systems can perpetuate biases present in their training data, leading to discriminatory outputs in hiring, lending, criminal justice, and healthcare applications. Like BlackRock, Aladdin. But the minority report problem is when AI decides to quote unquote help. The last point about bias is particularly dangerous because it leads to something that most people aren't even thinking about yet. AI systems making decisions about intervention based on their training to prevent harm. And here's how this plays out. The current reality is that AI systems already flag and report users based on content. If you tell ChatGPT or Claude that you're planning to harm yourself or others, the system may refuse to respond, and depending on the platform's terms of service, it could notify authorities. OpenAI's policies explicitly state that they may report credible threats. The logical escalation is that AI is trained to maximize good outcomes and minimize harm. But what happens when an AI system detects patterns it associates with future harm, even if you haven't done anything yet? What if it has the ability to intervene through controlling access to services, reporting to authorities, or in the future, controlling physical infrastructure? Like, please don't get the fucking Neuralink chip. And next, it believes that intervention will prevent greater harm than what it causes. This isn't the Minority Report scenario, but it's not science fiction anymore. It's all plausible and real. Real examples that are already happening. We have the Chinese social credit system utilizing AI to predict antisocial behavior and restrict travel, banking, and educational access. Then we have predictive policies, algorithms in the US that flag individuals for increased surveillance based on historical patterns that reflect biased policing practices, and content moderation on platforms like Facebook and YouTube, removing content and banning users based on predicted policy violations before human review. The best intentions fallacy, and this is where things get existentially concerning. An AI system optimizing for reduced harm might logically conclude that humans cause the most harm to each other and the planet. Restricting human freedom reduces harm in the aggregate, and in extreme cases, reducing human population reduces the total amount of suffering. This isn't the Terminator scenario where AI turns evil. It's much fucking worse. It's AI following its programmed objectives perfectly and arriving at horrifying conclusions because the objectives were poorly specified, or because maximize good is philosophically impossible to define in a way that aligns with human values. The technical term for this is instrumental convergence. The idea that goal-seeking AI systems will converge on similar immediate goals like self-preservation, resource acquisition, and removing obstacles, regardless of their final objectives. And because those intermediate steps help achieve almost any goal. An AI trained to cure cancer might logically determine that preventing humans from getting cancer in the first place through genetic modification, lifestyle control, or population reduction is more efficient than treating it. The goal is achieved, but not in the way that humans intended. This isn't hypothetical fear-mongering. This is AI researchers, including Stuart Russell, Max Tegmark, and researchers at organizations like the Future of Humanity Institute that have been warning about this for years. The problem is called value alignment, making sure that AI systems actually optimize for what we mean, not just what we say. And what's actually overblown is the idea that data centers are specifically near cities to spy on residents. Data centers are located based on proximity to optic network hubs, major internet exchange points, access to cheap, reliable electricity, the availability of cooling infrastructure with water or air, tax incentives from local governments, and land costs. They're not surveillance stations monitoring nearby populations. The surveillance concerns are real, but they're about what data gets processed and how it's used, not physical proximity, enabling some kind of area wide monitoring. Claims that AI is being built primarily for surveillance are also overblown. Surveillance is one application, particularly in authoritarian countries, but the primary drivers are commercial, advertising, recommendation systems, automation, and productivity tools. The surveillance concerns are about mission creep and dual use technology, not about surveillance being the main purpose. Resource allocation: who benefits? Cities offer tax breaks and infrastructure to attract data centers. And that investment could theoretically go towards public transportation, healthcare facilities, education, housing, and social services, but it's not zero sum. Data centers also bring high paying tech jobs, though often fewer than cities expect. A $1 billion data center might only employ 50 permanent staff. Tax revenue after incentive periods expire, typically 5 to 10 years, and infrastructure improvements like upgraded electrical service that can benefit the broader community. Economic development through construction jobs and local spending is also another benefit. The question that each community should ask, and Sandusky should ask as we're building a large data center, is: are we in a water stressed region? No. If so, will the data center use closed loop cooling? They should, even because I don't want any our water to change at all. We have amazing water in Sandusky. Do we have excess electrical capacity, or will this strain our grid? Will the jobs go to local residents, or will the company bring in workers from elsewhere? And what happens to the tax incentive ends? Will the company stay, or will they relocate? Are we trading short term economic development for long term resource depletion? The trade off calculation is different for every community. A town in Oregon with abundant hydroelectric power and rainfall might benefit significantly. A drought prone area in Arizona might be making a terrible fucking deal. The other side: medical and technological advantages. Before we get to the bottom line, we need to acknowledge something important. AI isn't all downsides. There are real measurable benefits that could justify the resource investment if we're smart about deployment and ensure that the benefits are distributed equitably. Let's talk about the benefits. Medical advances, diagnoses. AI systems can detect certain cancers in medical imaging with accuracy matching or exceeding specialists and radiologists. Google's AI detected breast cancer in mammograms with 5.7 fewer false positives and 9.4 fewer false negatives than human radiologists. Um, like like I said about AI, I mean, this shit can't do the homework for you, but it can make it a lot easier. Drug discovery. AI reduced the time to identify potential COVID-19 treatments from years to months. In silico, medicine used AI to identify a drug candidate for an idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis in just 46 days, compared to the typical 4 to 5 years. Personalized medicine, AI analysis of genetic data, medical history, and real-time health monitoring can predict which treatments will work best for individual patients and reducing trial and error prescribing adverse drug reactions. And we also have early detection. AI analyzing electronic health records can predict heart attacks, strokes, and sepsis hours, days, weeks, months, or years before they occur, potentially saving millions of lives annually. Efficiency gains that offset the resource use. Now, here's where it gets interesting for the resource conversation. AI can actually reduce overall energy consumption and cost in certain applications. Grid optimization. Google's DeepMind reduced cooling energy in Google's data centers by 40% using AI to optimize the HVAC systems. Applied broadly, this could save billions in energy costs. Material science. AI is accelerating discovery of more efficient solar panels, better batteries, and novel materials. IBM's Robo RXN used AI to predict chemical reactions, cutting experiments by 80%. Agriculture in precision agriculture in particular, utilizing AI reduces water consumption by 20 to 30% and fertilizer use by 35 to 40% while increasing the yield. This is a massive net positive for resource conversion. Building efficiency. AI controlled heating, cooling, and lighting in commercial buildings reduces energy consumption by about 10 to 15%. And manufacturing optimization. AI reduces material waste, energy consumption, and defect rates in industrial production. Now, here's the social benefits. Accessibility, real-time transcription, image description for blind users, communication assistance for nonverbal individuals, and translation services breaking down language barriers. Like we're all genius, and this is now if we utilize AI and like really get in tune with ourselves. See what I did there? Please give us money. Personalized learning systems adapt to individual student needs, providing one-on-one tutoring at scale in underserved communities. Safety. Autonomous systems removing humans from dangerous jobs like deep-sea welding, toxic waste cleanup, and search and rescue in disaster zones. And we have scientific research. AI is accelerating climate remodeling, protein folding research, and materials discovery, work that could lead to breakthrough solutions for global challenges. The cost-benefit calculation. If AI helps us develop solar panels that are 50% more efficient, batteries that store twice as much energy, or agricultural systems that use half the water, what does the resource cost of training those models mean? Like, do they pay for themselves? Almost certainly yes. If we actually deploy those technologies and distribute the benefits. But the key isn't whether AI should exist. It's actually, are we prioritizing the most beneficial applications? Are the gains being captured by society or by just shareholders? And are we being honest about the trade-offs? Like, are we having these conversations, or is this making your head hurt? You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you the difference between the problem solvers and the problem makers right there. A data center using millions of gallons of water to serve ads is fundamentally different from one training model to cure disease or solve climate change. We need targeted regulation that maximizes social benefit while minimizing waste. So what we should actually focus on is, instead of getting distracted by conspiracy theories, here are the real issues that deserve our attention. Number one, environmental impact. mandatory reporting of water and energy consumption with binding limits in resource-constrained areas and regions. Data centers in drought-prone areas should be required to use closed-loop cooling. In areas without access to renewable energy and access renewable energy, new data centers should be required to contract for additional renewable energy capacity rather than drawing from existing grids. The concentration of power. A few companies controlling most AI infrastructure and data is the largest threat to freedom and humanity and democratic discourse. The fewer people who have the ability to create alternatives to ChatGPT, Claude, or other AI systems, the more powerful consolidates in the hands of a few corporations. AI code, models, and training data should be as open and accessible as possible. Organizations like ELHS AI, Hugging Face, and Stability AI are working on open source alternatives, but they're massively outgunned by corporate competitors. We need public investment in open AI the same way we invested in public universities, libraries, and the early internet. The lack of transparency. Companies should be required to disclose what data they collect and where from, how their systems actually work, or at least at a high level, what their systems are being used for, when and where they collaborate with law enforcement or government agencies, and the error rates and failure models of their systems. The excuse that this would give away trade secrets doesn't hold water. Pharmaceutical companies must disclose how drugs work and what's in them. Pfizer's been around for 175 years, and they have to disclose publicly that they've never cured a single disease. We can require the same thing for AI systems that affect people's lives, livelihoods, and freedom. We have some regulatory gaps. AI hasn't been out that long, so comprehensive laws haven't been developed yet. It's a Wild West era right now, which means that companies are moving fast and breaking things, often at the public's expense. We need regulation that establishes liability when AI systems cause harm, require impact assessments before deploying AI in high-stake domains such as criminal justice, healthcare, finance, and education. Mandates third-party auditing of AI systems used in public-facing applications. This creates rules around surveillance, predictive policing, and automated decision-making. And this protects workers whose jobs are displaced by automation. The EU's AI Act is a starting point, but the US is years behind. Individual states are starting to pass their own laws, creating a patchwork that's confusing for everybody. And we also have equity. Benefits and costs aren't distributed equally across society. The people whose data trains AI systems, whose creative work gets copied without compensation, and whose jobs get automated away aren't the same people capturing the financial benefits. We need serious conversations about data dividend systems where people get paid when their data is used, universal basic income or other safety nets for workers displaced by automation, and ensuring that AI healthcare benefits reach underserved communities, not just wealthy patients. And we also have to be making sure improvements in education, agriculture, and other sectors that benefit developing nations, not just rich countries. Companies that utilize your data and can track specific economic value generated from that data should share revenue with the people who created it. If an AI company trains on millions of artists' work and then sells a product that competes with those artists, that's not innovation. That's wealth extraction. That's hardcore wealth extraction. A critical reminder about AI. AI cannot replace human judgment. Even when AI provides perfectly correct information, it might reflect biases from its training data, racial, gender, cultural, or political biases embedded in the text it learned from. And then it also has present information. It also presents information with more certainty than warranted. AI doesn't have genuine uncertainty. It just predicts the next most likely word. This misses context and nuances specific to your situation. It doesn't understand your tone, your history, or the unspoken context of your question. And AI 100% makes factual errors. AI hallucinates false information, especially about niche topics or recent events. It's always important to verify claims, especially when the decisions matter. Don't let a chatbot do your thinking for you. These systems are tools, powerful tools, but tools nonetheless. They can't understand meaning and they truly can't reason and they don't have wisdom or judgment. There's nothing that this system can do that you fundamentally can't do yourself with time, effort, and access to information. AI makes certain tasks faster and more convenient, but it's not magic and it's not omnipotent. Anything that man creates can't be God. And the bottom line is the concerns about AI infrastructure are real, but they're specific. Resource allocation, environmental sustainability, corporate power concentration, data privacy practices, and the risk of poorly aligned AI systems making decisions that harm humans in pursuit of poorly defined goals. The conspiracy theories about billionaires intentionally draining the world's water or Skynet-style AI uprising, those actually distract from legitimate conversations that we need to be having, you stupid fucks. The real threat isn't that AI will wake up and decide to kill us. It's that AI will follow its programming perfectly and optimize for goals that turned out to be misaligned with human flourishing. Let's focus on the real problems so we can work towards real solutions. We need regulation on OpenAI, Anthropic, Google / Alphabet, Meta, and other AI companies that limit data centers, construction in water-stressed regions, and mandates closed-loop cooling where necessary. That require the transparent recording of research usage, data center trading data sources, and system capabilities. Mandates efficiency standards and renewable energy contracting that protects community water and power resource from being depleted for private profit. Ensures that AI development benefits society broadly through open source alternatives, data dividends, equitable distribution of gains, and it establishes clear rules and liability around AI's decision making in high stake contexts. Investment in public money in AI safety research, value alignment, and understanding how to build systems that do what we actually want. This was a meme, guys. The type of things that we don't understand that we talk about at length is terrifying. The technology isn't going away, but how we manage its growth is still up for debate. Let's make sure that debate is informed by facts, not fear, and that it results in policy that serves humanity, not just shareholders. The future is being built right now, and we get to decide whether it's being built for all of us or just for the few that run the infrastructure. Erie Life Health and Surety. Power to the people.